Good morning and welcome to Fox 29's News Now on this Monday morning. We have a live look here outside Buckingham Palace where President Donald Trump is meeting with Queen Elizabeth II Monday during a three-day visit to Britain that's meant to strengthen ties between the two nations, although the trip was immediately at risk of being overshadowed by some Brexit turmoil and Trump's feud with London's mayor. Fox's Doug Bluzader has more this morning from Washington.
7:07. President Trump now has landed in London. But already there's back and forth with some of his critics. He's in a verbal fight with the mayor. It's off to a weird start.
And there's everything with Meghan Markle going on.
Right. Was she nasty or not? Nah.
Yeah. And then there's some investigations underway in Washington, and there's new tariffs right around the corner. It's going to be interesting, Doug, to see how he leaves the domestic behind to focus on this.
Hello, Doug.
Yeah, you know, you can never quite leave it all behind. I mean, there's going to be a lot of events going on in the UK this week. Obviously, the arrival today. You've got the honoring the anniversary of D-Day going on this week as well. But there's a lot happening here at home, not the least of which these new tariffs that are set to kick in about a week.
President Trump and the First Lady arriving in London this morning, a trip long planned, but this comes at a critical time for the UK, with a new government in the works and the still looming debate about Britain's exit from the European Union playing out.
Everybody's better with an independent UK. That's the president's message, and he's there to just really kind of hammer that home.
But it will be a busy day back at the White House, too, with furious negotiations underway between the U.S. and Mexico over additional tariffs that are going to be imposed in just a week unless Mexico does more to prevent illegal immigration. That's something the president touched on his way out of D.C. yesterday.
They're sending a big delegation right here to the White House on Wednesday, as I understand it, and we'll see what can be done. But if it's not done, you know what we're going to be doing, and I'm really okay with that.
It is certainly true. I think that much of his conduct qualifies for that.
Democrats in Congress, meantime, are still pressing forward on investigations in the wake of the Mueller report, with more pressure to begin an impeachment inquiry, something House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been trying to fend off. But as she spoke before California's Democratic convention this weekend, she was interrupted by calls to impeach. Hard to ignore even when the president is across the pond.
Yeah, and those new tariffs, by the way, a week from now, assuming that nothing is resolved prior to that, the White House says the president's very serious about following through on this threat, and that's going to have a big impact on both the U.S. and Mexico. Mike and Alex.
What an interesting week this is going to be. All right, Doug, thank you.
And in national news this morning, we're learning more about the Virginia Beach shooter. Officials now say the man who attacked his colleagues at a government office building resigned by email just hours before the shooting. "40-year-old Dwayne Craddock was known as a good employee," officials say. He worked for the city for about 15 years before resigning as a city engineer. During Friday's shooting, police say he killed 12 people, 11 of them city employees and one contractor. A police officer was also injured. Following a shootout with police, the gunman was taken to the hospital where he died. And in international news, this weekend, Italian officials are calling for a ban of cruise ships after a massive vessel collided with a small riverboat in a Venice canal, injuring 5 people. The crash happened yesterday morning in a major thoroughfare which leads to St. Mark's Square. A cruise ship was out of control and unable to stop before ramming into a dock, as well as a tourist riverboat. Venice is known for its tourist attractions and cruise ships, especially during the summertime. But Italian authorities are trying to prevent a similar accident from occurring again. Officials are still investigating the cause of the crash. And moving on to your Fox 29 Weather Authority, the Philadelphia area is slated for a cooler Monday after some stormy weather on Sunday with temperatures in the low 70s. Sunday's thunderstorms also left behind clear and sunny skies for us with low humidity on this Monday. And that sunshine will carry over into Tuesday before precipitation unfortunately returns to our forecast for this Wednesday when afternoon showers are forecasted. Temperatures will creep back up though to the mid-80s by the middle of the week or so. Here we have a live look at current temperatures in our region. A very mild 54 degrees in Mount Pocono, 65 in Lancaster, 67 in Dover, slightly higher in Wildwood, New Jersey, and a reasonable 67 degrees here in Philadelphia. And looking ahead to your 7-day forecast, again, it's going to be a sunny and breezy day on Monday, and that weather pattern will continue into Tuesday before being disrupted by rain and clouds, which are slated to return to the forecast this Wednesday and Thursday. And that uncertainty will extend into the weekend. Friday and Saturday, we have some chance of showers. Hopefully, nothing too disruptive as the Phillies return home. And don't forget to download the latest version of the Fox 29 Weather Authority app to have the latest forecast right at your fingertips. And in weather news, this severe weather that we experienced this weekend ripped off the roofs of several residences in Bucks County. Trees also out of the ground. Is a tornado to blame? Fox 29's Lauren Johnson had this report from Croydon.
We just spoke to the homeowner, the woman who's lived in this house for the last 18 to 20 years. She was rushing to work at a bar in Ben Salem, still smiling, still in good spirits, despite what you see right here, this house laying right into the side of a upstairs bedroom. She said that it's a mess up there, and she's not the only one. 5 homes in this area, according to the fire marshal, had trees topple on top of them, and then they were condemned. Last night, about 900 people were without power after trees and winds pulled them down and blew down the power lines. Let's go to video to show you more damage. People were picking up the pieces after a roof peeled back at an apartment complex. Public works crews were out trying to clear the roads and those obstructions, helping people with any problems that were caused by the storm. And man, talk about a big problem. Listen to what Susie just told me.
I don't know. I looked to see if these trees were still standing. I said, yep, it was a good night. I went back to bed. 2 seconds later, everybody's banging, cops, police. I'm like, what the hell's going on? They said, the tree's down. I'm like, no, I just looked. The tree's fine. No. So the other side of the house is smushed in. It's cracked water inside. Oh, it's bad.
You've lived there, I heard one of your neighbors said, for like 18 or 20 years.
Yeah. We just paid the house off Friday.
Did you hear that? Just paid the house off on Friday, and then Sunday this happens. Well, people are buzzing in this neighborhood about the weather that's happened for the last few days. Is this a possible straight line wind, tornado, microburst that happened here yesterday? The National Weather Service, of course, acknowledging it on Twitter. They are aware of the damage. They will assess it and decide what happens from here. We know Susie stayed at a next door neighbor's house. That's where we talked to her just moments ago before she headed off to work. But other people getting help from the Red Cross, getting assistance. The great thing here is that no one was hurt. She even telling us her bedroom's upstairs, so things could have been much, much worse.
And more in local news this morning. Philadelphia police say a car was speeding on Roosevelt Boulevard when it crashed over the weekend, killing a man and a teenage boy inside. Hundreds of people gathered for a vigil last night to remember them. Fox 29's Bill Anderson filed this report.
Okay, so the scene here at Roosevelt Boulevard and Stevens Street shows really both sides of a tragic car accident that took place. On one side of the street, there are candles, there are notes, there are stuffed animals, all recognizing and remembering 2 young men who were tragically killed in a car accident. But a little further up the road shows the other side of the ongoing issue. You can see a tree that was hit just off of Roosevelt Boulevard, the tire marks going up into the front yard of a house, and damage going all the way up to a window in the house that shows just how fast this car must have been going. And police say that 19-year-old Bautran and 17-year-old Nicholas Tsai were both killed in a car crash on Saturday night. According to police, they were traveling at a very high rate of speed. The impact with another car caused them to hit that tree and then this house, tragically killing both as they were thrown from the car. Now, hundreds since then have continued to show up, first at a vigil that took place on Sunday night, leaving all of the candles, cards, stuffed animals, and then throughout the morning, people have continued to stop by. It's very clear that the two young men were very well liked and left behind friends and family that are looking for answers and some form of healing as people shared stories of the shocking loss of their friends.
He was just very kind to me. He offered to drive me to school if I needed to go to school. He was just so nice.
I was with him literally last night before this happened. I gave him, that was the last handshake I ever gave him, and I never knew that. So that was really making me, I just texted him before, 3 hours ago maybe.
The other night we just was chilling and talking about that he would not ever crash, and last night he going now.
Now, unfortunately, as we take a long look at all of the different symbols of recognition that people have continued to drop off, those stories are stories that we have heard all too often along this strip of Roosevelt Boulevard. Since 2013, there have been over 150 people both killed and seriously injured, and now it turns to what can possibly be done about it. Over the last couple weeks, City Council did pass legislation that will increase fines along this strip as high as $150 for speeding, and also install speed cameras so that if you are caught speeding, those tickets can be sent to you. All of this being done in hopes to try to avoid tragedies like this, and hopefully all of this being done by the end of the year.
And in business news this morning, say goodbye to iTunes. The popular music outlet could be a thing of the past. Fox's Tracy Carrasco joined Good Day with more.
What? They're taking my iTunes away?
I don't like the sound of this. Tracy, what are they going to be doing with our iTunes? And how are we going to listen to music?
Well, don't worry. Apple has a solution for this. Reportedly at Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference today, they're going to be unveiling plans to officially break up iTunes. So they're going to be breaking it up into 3 different apps.
Oh.
One would be for music, one would be for TV, and the other would be for podcasts. So really what I think has happened is they've outgrown the iTunes name, because right now there is just so much content on iTunes. And it's really more than just tunes. So they've got to find a way to get all of that content out there. And this way they'll be able to promote it a little differently. So one major hint that we've gotten that this is going to be happening is the iTunes Facebook and Instagram pages. They've both been wiped clean. A lot of that content has been moved over to an Apple TV page. So we will wait and see what they unveil today. Also expected to unveil the latest iOS 13 software update for the iPhone and the iPad.
Okay, so we'll still have iTunes. It's just going to be called something else, and it'll be
But
by
what will
itself.
they call it?
Apple Music.
Oh, so it's
That's
so
my
creative.
guess.
Ooh.
So creative.
Apple TV, Apple Pod.
So basically we won't notice much of a change.
I doubt it. Trace.
I'm not sure how they're gonna lay everything out, but I'm very curious because I like iTunes. I'm gonna miss it.
Me too. I like it. And if we're getting a new operating system, does this mean more emojis, I wonder?
I just hope I can pay more money to Apple.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You want to pay more money?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to give even more of my money to Apple.
Well, no one told you to get the
They need
ear
it.
pods.
And lose them twice. Should I go for a 3rd time?
No. Thank you, Tracy.
You know, I used to go to high school, Tracy, with the Apple sisters, Corey and Ceedie. Thanks.
Yeah, she thought it was hilarious.
We'll see you tomorrow. I didn't even get any reaction.
No. Maybe she didn't hear you.
Let's hope so. Let's hope not.
Yeah, we're sorry you had to hear that one. And in local news this morning, in Bensalem, a fire has left several units at the Franklin Commons apartment complex destroyed. There's a big gaping hole in the roof. It happened yesterday afternoon. Families running to escape. In total, the fire ruined 12 units. Luckily, no one was injured. Officials are now investigating if the fire was possibly started by a lightning strike. The Red Cross now assisting those families. And some chaos over the weekend. 5 people are recovering after being hurt when chaos erupted at Philadelphia's annual Roots Picnic Music Festival in Fairmount Park. Philadelphia police say a fight broke out and someone yelled that a person had a gun, triggering the stampede. It happened just after 6:30 p.m. Saturday, while rapper 21 Savage was performing. One person broke their leg while running to safety. Police did not recover a weapon, and within an hour, the concert continued. And in Cape May County this weekend, chilling moments captured on video here showing a pilot performing an emergency landing on the beach in Ocean City. Joan Szymanski shot this video of the plane coming down on an empty section of the beach near 49th Street yesterday. You can see the plane nearly flips over, going up on its nose and wing. Thankfully, it landed right side up.
He must be a really experienced guy because almost didn't seem to faze him. He wanted to make sure we all got clear of the aircraft. He was smelling a little fuel and didn't want any of us to get in trouble, so he was quite calm, cool, and collected. I was quite impressed.
Ocean City police say the pilot was the only person on board and was not hurt. The plane was put on the flatbed and hauled away for further investigation. And in Bucks County this weekend, many gathered in honor of the memory of a mother and her 2 children whose lives were cut short at the hands of a family member. Yesterday was the 7th annual Walk to Remember for the Amy's Kisses Foundation for Domestic Violence Prevention in Tyler State Park. October 18, 2011, Amy Perez, along with her children, Molly and Gregory, were viciously killed by Amy's estranged husband. He beat Amy to death before shooting both of his kids as they slept. He then turned the gun on himself. Loved ones take comfort in knowing this annual walk keeps their legacy alive.
She was just an amazing person, and she's a huge loss to this world.
It warms my heart. It knows Amy and Molly and Gregory are being remembered.
Amy's Kisses is a nonprofit organization that provides domestic violence education as well as college scholarships to support low-income students.
Every bereaved parent for then on October 18th, 2011, no one could contact Amy or the kids the entire day of October 18th, and many thoughts ran.
We're going to move now to Westminster Abbey, where the President of the United States is alongside First Lady Melania Trump as the President visits the UK for a 3-day trip. Stay with us.
It is needed. It is ready to provide that ancient service.
I'm not completely sure of Andrew's role here.
Accompanying. He's representing the host.
Right.
And I don't think he needs to do much more than to be there. But
right.
I think, you know, if you were in my house, I want somebody to be looking after you all the time, to make you feel that you're being properly looked after.
Yeah,
and that's really what he's doing.
Real experts are showing the President and his wife around. But also tomorrow, Prince Andrew will be back with the President tomorrow morning for that business breakfast alongside Theresa May. So we will again see
That's quite important, I'm guessing. I know he's here for the pomp and circumstance, the President, but also there is some work to be done. There's a business breakfast at St James's Palace, is there not?
Absolutely. I mean, this is absolutely expected and normal, and I think
that they would have this kind of high-level business dialogue. And both sides, I think, are looking for opportunities to expand our economic relationship post-Brexit, whether it takes the shape of a free trade agreement or just expanded ties to increase what are already very strong ties. So tomorrow will be an opportunity for the Prime Minister and for the President to hear from business leaders. I'm sure they will express concerns about Brexit and be urging both sides to reach an agreement quickly afterwards.
Those statues you can see in the background are of all the great Victorian Prime Ministers like Disraeli, Gladstone, Castlereagh, who was, of course, Foreign Secretary. And if you walk around there, you get a sense of the attitude of the United Kingdom at that time to its history and where it was in the world. In a way, I don't think we're going to see a number of those statues replaced by more recent statesmen who've led the United Kingdom, but then that's a different national attitude. And again, this building plays out and gives you a sense of how, first of all, England, and then when the United Kingdom was created in 1701, how those moments of national story have been marked in this building, and the President's getting all of that now.
Talking about different national attitude, likely to be a bit of a demonstration tomorrow.
There is, and actually seeing the President's motorcade leaving Buckingham Palace, it struck me that actually that is the closest that most members of the public are really going to get to the President during this short visit here to the UK. It's been fairly quiet outside of the palace, I have to say, seeing as they are so close to where Trump and his wife have been. But I think tomorrow is probably the big day where we are likely to see more of those protests, that large balloon, the effigy of President Trump, once again in the skies above London.
How's he going to take protests?
Well, no, it's interesting today, actually, the most vocal group out here was pro-Trump and chanting USA and waving American flags and cheering on the president. So I suspect tomorrow will be different. But I think he will go with the flow, and I think he will whisk by in his motorcade and probably not be too concerned about it.
But he is quite thin-skinned, as we know.
He's thin-skinned, and I expect there'll be some reaction on his part, some tweets about it. But hopefully he will enjoy the nice parts of this day and the ceremonial aspects of it, and not go down that road of attacking the protesters.
And he's having supper tomorrow night at Winfield House. He's hosting tomorrow, isn't he?
He's hosting, and we don't entirely know who is on the guest list. We know that, once again, Prince Charles and Duchess of Cornwall will be attending that dinner on behalf of the Queen. It's obviously a very busy week for the 93-year-old monarch already, so I think it's only right that her son should attend that evening dinner. But again, I think when you look at the optics of that dinner that we're going to see at Winfield House, it will be fascinating to see who he has decided he wants to get round a table there, who he wants to play host to.
And it's a relatively small dinner. I think dinner tonight is, 120 people or so? 170. I think dinner tomorrow night is about 60 people. So it'll be a much smaller, much tighter guest list.
And tell us about Winfield House. It was used as a military hospital during the war?
I believe that's right, and then it was owned by Barbara Hutton, and then she gifted it to the U.S. government, and so the U.S. ambassador has lived there since shortly after the war, ever since then. And it's a magnificent residence, and the second largest grounds in London after Buckingham Palace, so it's an incredible piece of property right there in Regent's Park.
And we don't ever really see it, do we? Because it's very, very tight security around Winfield House, also behind big gated fences. Is it a big property?
It's a huge property. It's 12 acres. So
I know it's a lot of grounds, but what about the actual
the house itself is enormous, and you've got the representational space downstairs, the beautiful living rooms and dining rooms, and then upstairs there's the family area, but also some VIP guest suites where the president will be staying tonight. So it's a huge property.
And that's where the Obamas stayed, isn't it? When we had the ash cloud and they couldn't fly anywhere.
That's right. Yes, they did.
Yeah, they stayed here for several more days than was planned, I think. What's going on?
Well, again, they're making a great deal of all these incredible Victorian statesmen. And I would imagine that there's quite a lot of that taught in history, particularly because of constitutional and legal element. What I'm sad about is they haven't moved up to the right there, which is where I think the real fascination of the Abbey lies, both in the tomb of Edward the Confessor, who is surrounded by Henry III, Edward I, Richard II, Henry V of the Battle of Agincourt, and then further on, I think that's where they're heading now.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
if we get to it, let's wait. They're heading there right now. And also, they'll see where Queen Elizabeth and Queen Mary are buried, and also where Mary, Queen of Scots.
There's also now a spectacular new museum area which is built right up into the roof, which gives you the most spectacular views down into the Abbey. But I think because this is such a short visit, I suspect they won't be making that trip up there.
This is what happened a few moments ago.
First of all, the Marines laid the wreath for the President to touch ceremonially, and I thought it was rather nice that his wife came forward to touch also this tribute by a nation. Remember, this is a tribute not just by the President, but on behalf of the United States of America to this treasure we protect, the memory of one unknown soldier who represents so many. And poignant too, because this state visit has been timed precisely to coincide with the 75th anniversary of the landings on the 6th of June 1944 that went well and could so easily not have. And it meant that freedom was achieved in Europe and Hitler was defeated.
I'm right in saying he's back for NATO again quite soon, or have I imagined that?
Yeah, no, it's true. The London will be, the UK will be hosting the next big NATO meeting of leaders, so that'll be in early December. President Trump will be back for 2 days.
3 times in 18 months.
Yeah.
He's getting very comfortable, isn't he?
Maybe not meetings with the Queen at that point, I shouldn't think, but meeting with a new Prime Minister.
Yes, indeed. So whoever that might be, what on earth is he up to saying, yeah, we like Boris?
Well, it's fascinating because, he clearly feels a connection with Boris, but very unusual for him to weigh in on Conservative Party leadership contest.
So I just interrupt because on that pillar there you can see the little V, which is the ribbon of the Congressional Medal of Honor, which was given by America to the unknown warrior. Sorry, do carry on.
You were saying?
So very unusual for the president to weigh in on the Conservative Party leadership contest. Not clear that he really knows who all the contenders are and what their various positions are, and unclear whether his quasi-endorsement of Boris Johnson will help Boris Johnson or hurt him.
Interesting, he talked about Farage as well, saying he was a friend of his. Does he know how much of an issue that could cause here in the United Kingdom? Does he just not care?
I think he probably has some idea, but I think he just doesn't care. And it's unclear to me that he understands that Nigel Farage is not actually a member of Parliament and is not in the government here, that he's an MEP.
Right.
But clearly has an affinity with him and has met him several times. Nigel Farage went to many of his campaign rallies and made a big effort to get close to the president and his entourage very early on.
Via Steve Bannon, of course.
Via Steve Bannon, right.
I was talking to Cordelia Lynch, our US correspondent, the other day, who was saying that maybe the president has thrown his views out there on various things, from Brexit to Boris Johnson to Nigel Farage, ahead of today, to try and get that out of the way, to try and move that to one side so that now we focus on the ceremony, the pageantry, the fabulous imagery of him alongside the monarch. The problem is here in the UK, we are, of course, going to keep talking about those issues and the fact that he has waded in, the fact that he is shooting from the hip, giving his views on these things. Of course, we can't get away from it, despite the fact that he would love us just to focus on these images of him alongside the British monarchy.
But tweeting from the aeroplane and calling the Mayor of London a stone-cold loser when he knows he's going to be wandering around his city within the next couple of hours is not necessarily the smartest thing for a US president to do.
No, it's strange and it's unusual. And the thing that fascinates me about this president is that the economy is doing quite well in the United States. His approval ratings would actually be higher if he didn't do all this tweeting and if he didn't attack people and didn't sort of denigrate the office that he holds. So it's very sort of counterproductive to his goal of getting reelected in some ways. It fires up his base, but it turns off so many people.
They're still looking around. These are pictures from slightly earlier on, looking at the Cosmati pavement on the right there at the top of the steps, which was laid on the instructions of Henry III and has a porphyry marble centre, which marks significantly the point of anointing, because the coronation service is focused, of course, visually on the moment when the crown is put on. But the moment of change for a monarch is when they're anointed. And that's where the power of it came through the missionaries here to England, when England was first converted to Christianity after the Romans.
Tell us about the gentleman who's showing them around.
That's the Dean of Westminster, the Very Reverend John Hall. He is in charge of the building, and it's a royal peculiar. which means that this building does not owe any allegiance to the ecclesiastical chain of command. So no bishop has any authority here, because the Queen has all the royal peculiars as her own. She's, after all, Supreme Governor of the Church of England. But there is somebody who is called the Visitor, who acts on any difficulties that may crop up, and that's always the Lord Chancellor, who is known as the Visitor.
And back to Good Day Philadelphia this morning. Forget flawless. Misfit fruit will save you money. It may not look normal, but it tastes the way it should. A local man is making sure ugly produce doesn't go to waste while saving you a few bucks along the way. He joined Good Day this morning with more.
Our next guest.
And you get instantly jealous.
Oh, I'm jealous right now. This guy got sick of wasted food in the world, and he's doing something about it, and he's using ugly fruit and vegetables.
You know what we're talking about when you're going through the grocery store and you see all the oranges and you're picking them up trying to pick which one looks good, and you see, oh, there's something on it, and you put it back. No, it's still a good orange. You can still eat it.
Bobby Ramesh, founder and CEO of Misfits Market, joins us now. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So you went to school here in Philly.
I did, yep.
Penn?
Penn, correct.
Okay.
Lived in West Philly for a while, in Center City, and our HQ is in North Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's already got big warehouses, like 140,000 square feet, filled with weird-looking fruit and vegetables. So let's just give him an example of what you're talking about. You go to the grocery store, and you see the lemon stand.
Yep.
That's a good-looking lemon right there. You might blow this one off because it's small.
Yeah, so not only is it small, you'll see on the surface there's a little bit of discoloration and scarring, and that has absolutely no impact on the taste of that lemon. It's just not superficial on the outside, but most people will see that and say, I don't want to buy that lemon.
So before this would be thrown out. Probably.
Exactly. So what ends up happening is the folks who are purchasing it for the grocery store end up not picking that at the farm level. So that doesn't even make it onto the grocery store shelves a lot of times. And if it does, you certainly don't buy it, and then it gets tossed at the grocery store level. But 80% of the time it gets tossed even before it makes it to the grocery store.
And when you say it gets tossed, that means it's just going in the trash. Like no one's eating it, it doesn't go anywhere?
Yep, generally it'll get composted, it'll get sent to landfills, things like that.
Here's another example. You got two peppers there. You're going to go for the green one instead of maybe the one that's It
has marks and it's
variegated.
yellow.
It's two different colors.
Exactly. And you know, it's crazy because nature unfortunately doesn't work in perfect ways all the time and create perfectly green shaped peppers. But yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at Alex and I. She's perfect.
No, I'm hardly. So what about these two then? So this is the one probably I'd pick up in the grocery store.
Right. So you're looking at two yellow squashes, and you have one that's that looks nice and big and doesn't have any scarring, and then on the left there you'll see some substantial scarring on the outside. Again, has no impact on the taste or the deliciousness or the freshness, but it just looks kind of ugly.
So what you do is you come in and take the ones that people don't want, the misfits, and you put them together because you're saying you can still eat them. They're still good.
Exactly.
So and you send them out
you put them in boxes
like this.
Right. So that is a large box. That feeds a family of 4 or 5 for a week. All of the packaging is eco-friendly, so that green packaging you see, it melts underwater. It's biodegradable packaging. We also have a version that's curbside recyclable as well, but that gets filled up with misfit produce.
Now, do you get to select what produce you receive, or it's like a box that's like a wonderful surprise?
So we have both options. So right now, for most people, it's a surprise box of misfit produce, where there's a small subset of customers who can customize, and we're rolling that out over the course of the summer.
How much is a box?
That box right there is $34.
Is that a month or?
So you can pick how frequently you want to subscribe. So you can do a weekly, bi-weekly. You can order whenever you want to. Most people end up doing
per box, no matter how often you do it.
Exactly. Yep.
So the rest of all this are misfits.
These are all all misfits. So this is generally what comes in a large box right here. We move some of it over there, and then that over there is a small box.
And how much is a small box?
Small box is $19. So all of this produce would be $19.
How much money are you saving here?
Yeah, so we do that math pretty much every week. So just to give you perspective, this is all organic produce. This box is $19. At a grocery store near you, this would probably cost somewhere between $28 and $32. So you're saving 30–40% on a box.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yes, this is amazing.
Wow.
And you deliver pretty much all up through the Northeast?
Exactly. So right now, pretty much from Pennsylvania as far north as Maine, and we just opened up Ohio as well, and we have a lot of exciting geographic expansion announcements soon.
Does this exist anywhere else?
There are people that are tackling the food waste problem, but it's such a massive problem that we end up being one of the few companies, and it's still kind of early stages, I would say.
Congratulations.
For everybody, yes.
Thank you.
Keep us apprised of how this success spreads across America.
If people want to do this, what's the website?
The website is misfitsmarket.com, so it's somewhere in a box here, but
okay.
misfitsmarket.com. Small box, large box, yep.
Wow.
Congratulations.
All right,
it's only been a year.
A year?
And it's already off.
So rich. Now here's a...
And more from Good Day this morning. A local girl is turning lemons into lemonade, literally. After her own battle with cancer, Lily has dedicated her life to helping get other kids healthy. And this morning, she needs your help.
Under my clicker here is $1, and I'll tell you why I got $1 in my hand, because we all remember the story of Alex Scott, Alex's lemonade stand. As she battled with cancer, she started raising money. This was back in 2004 when she passed away at 8 years old, but she sure did a lot, and her work lives on through the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. Alex and Mike are live outside with the Adkins family, one of many families impacted by cancer, and now they have their own lemonade stand. We've got our cash, Mike and Alex. We're coming right out.
Hey. And we have wind, Sue. We have wind, so we're making sure our flag is still flying high. Hello, Atkins family. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, Atkins. Happy Lemonade Day.
Happy Lemonade
Thank you. Hi, Lily.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
You have a beautiful stand here. So, is this the extent of the family?
This is. We have pets, but this is really just the 5 of us. Yeah.
This is all about Lily. And when were you diagnosed? What age?
I was diagnosed when I was 1.
1, and now you're 13. Big teenager. So what was it exactly?
She was diagnosed with a brain tumor called ependymoma. So it's one of the most common malignant brain tumors in childhood.
And where'd you go, CHOP?
We went to CHOP. She was treated right here in Philadelphia at Children's Hospital.
And how is she doing now?
You want to tell them, Lily?
Right.
She's doing great. She's cancer-free. Totally cancer-free. We got the good word.
And we found out recently, didn't we?
We did. In April, we had an MRI, and we found out that Lily's totally cancer-free still, and we celebrate every single solitary day.
I think everybody now knows about Alex's lemonade stands, but this today is Lily's. How can we? What is the message that Lily wants to get out here?
Well, Lily has a big announcement, actually, that we're going to be having a lemonade stand where?
Here we go.
In all 50 states plus DC and Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow. Now how are you going to do all of that?
Well, we're going to do it by my 16th birthday.
That's wonderful.
Are you going to go to all the states?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I cannot.
Well, I think she just wanted to get a trip out of it, you know what I mean? Just pretty smart idea.
Yes, she's a smart.
Where's the one this Sunday?
It's going to be in West Collingswood Extension, near Collingswood. We live in Haddon Township right there.
Right.
But off of Route 130 in Collings, just over the bridge in New Jersey.
Let's introduce the other two energetic children.
Absolutely.
That one right there.
We have got Chloe,
Hi, Chloe.
and Nicholas.
And Nicholas down there.
Yeah.
You can tell they're a big help with the stand. But you've already made news because didn't you set a Guinness World Record?
Yes.
For what?
For the largest cup of lemonade.
Now, how did you guys do that? How big was it?
The cup was 10 feet tall, and we still have the cup, so you can see the cup on Sunday at our stand. It was 10 feet tall, and it was like 1,700 gallons of Alex's lemonade, so it was really awesome.
Where do you store a 10-foot cup?
We actually stored our yard.
Yeah, they love it.
We have like
Okay, Chloe, you want
On a
coffee?
trail.
Where do you keep it?
On a trailer in the bamboo forest.
Which is
the
I love what you were saying earlier to get people to buy lemonade. What were you telling people about lemonade and coffee?
It's the same thing.
She was saying lemonade, it's better than coffee. It was so cute. So cute.
True.
Yes.
Okay, what are the hours Sunday?
10 to 3.
Okay.
Yep, and then we'll be around the country, and there'll also be stands probably near your house if you can't make it to New Jersey, and all week, and all over the country.
And by the way, is there a charge or just donations?
It's just the donation is what we asked for because it all goes to Alex's lemonade stand.
That's awesome. Well, good luck, guys. I'm excited for Sunday.
Are you excited?
Yeah. And congrats again, Lily. Cancer-free.
All right, let's take it back inside.
And we are going to switch over to the UK now, where President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are visiting with the Queen as part of a 3-day trip to strengthen ties between the two nations. Stay with us.
Thanks, man. Good luck. Bye-bye. Yeah, exactly. Can you look at this at this point? This is done.
No. Yeah. That was next. Grab the card. Yeah, I think you guys could probably go. I don't know. Is he still there? Just get there.
And finally, on Good Day this morning, it doesn't matter what your specialty is, whether it's painting, designing jewelry, or even making pottery, a new boutique in Northern Liberties has just the thing for you. Fox 29's Jed Friend has more.
Chopper is flying through Croydon to get us from that.
Well, call it a work of art. Trunk, Trunc, is actually a creative space for artists.
And it doesn't matter if your specialty is painting, designing jewelry, or even making pottery. They have it all.
Let's visit there now with Jen.
Mike, you are going to love this place, and she's going to be your new best friend. Good morning.
Good morning.
You
Hi.
said you get along with, you think that you're in tune with Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's a terrible thing to
I
say.
know, I know. But I can relate to Mike, really.
So we are in this space called Trunk, and it's gorgeous. And basically, they sort of mentioned it in the intro. Different artists can come in, and it's a place where they can sell their stuff. We get to know them a little bit better. You're kind of like hosting their pop-up, if you will.
Yes, we are. Probably on a daily basis, we're hosting their pop-up. So what we do is we bring in, find, recruit new artists in the neighborhood area, at least inside of Pennsylvania, and we present their product or whatever they make in a very beautiful environment.
I love it. This is like an art museum. So as we walk through here, the cool thing is there is literally anything and everything that someone might want. Obviously, there's jewelry, there's clothing here, some candle working. Everyone loves coffee this time of the morning.
Exactly.
Is there anything that you don't bring in? I mean, it looks like anyone that has great stuff, you guys are like, come on in, let's see if we can work together.
Absolutely.
Oh, it has to be handmade?
It has to be handmade, yes.
Okay.
So, handmade.
Oh, it has to be functional.
It has to be functional and it has to be beautiful.
Okay, all right, that's fair. So nothing I'm going to make at my house is going to make... All right, so what's really cool is we have one of the artists here. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, and your stuff is handmade, pretty, and functional.
Yes.
Ceramics.
Ceramics. My name is Joanna, and I do Robust ceramics. And no matter how funky they are, they have to be functional. For me, as a designer by trade, I like to have functional pieces.
And so I walked right in, and I was like, oh, I could see that with like cheese and crackers on there.
Absolutely.
It's,
You could put jewelry on it. You could put candles in here, as you see, flowers. But it is pretty experimental work.
And so when you found out that there was a place like Trunk, you must have been like, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I walked in, introduced myself to Dorothea, was looking to buy something, and I was like, would you be interested in having ceramics here? And she was like, absolutely, yes. And I've been here ever since.
I do love this. I think in our lives, we all need a little bit more, we need more art.
Absolutely.
But if we're going to buy the art, it needs to work for us.
Absolutely. And be beautiful. And it should be beautiful whether it's filled with something or empty.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I just want to also add that Joanna is having an event here this Saturday.
Okay.
6 to 8. It's going to be her and the artist that makes these tables.
The tables are very cool. And the chairs, I don't know if Mike is still sitting there. I could see this in Mike's apartment because this is the kind of thing, it's like, again, this is, aren't these cool, Mike?
Yep, love them.
Very cool.
It's like so retro. It's almost like a 50s kitchen.
The retro, they are retro, mid-century. Mid-century what?
Mid-century modern.
Yeah. They're gorgeous.
And new fabric, so no ghost.
I told them I don't like antiques because I'm worried about the ghosts. Okay, there. Now my business is out there on the street. I'm afraid of ghosts. Fine.
So
That's
the other thing is
fantastic.
that you have to, every artist that comes in here has to have an event. So,
Oh, okay.
ergo,
Okay.
Joanne's doing
They have to
a.
have an event. They have to have something good.
God, I
and
love this
pretty.
space.
Which is good because that gets
That is really cool.
Unique stuff.
And that is going to do it for us today at Fox 29's News Now. Be sure to catch us again tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. And follow Fox 29 at the fox29.com site and mobile app, as well as on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up with the latest breaking news. And thanks for joining us.